Good evening, and welcome to Riderpiece Theater. Me, Alistair Dayhawk, and tonight, me proud to present Kamen Rider Gacha, episode 40. Guys, finally, Fuga has returned just in time for Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, by the way. And this episode has a bunch of reveals, to a bunch of questions, to a lot of frustrations due because of how stupid and naive Hotaro is. It's just like, ugh. But I will explain why I'm so beyond frustrated with this character. And I will begin with the first scene, because if I don't start, I will start ranting, and I don't want that just yet. So let me start with the first scene with the Weird Sisters and the survivor, the Abyss Alice King Gigist. Because we have Weird Sister number 1, who's been played by a 9-year-old, who holds the beating golden Rubik's Cube from Master Greyon, and the two of them are surprised to see Gigist, who survived somehow from last week's attack, and he is recuperating, he's healing up, but he's still weak. And then all of a sudden, we get to see these two creatures who came out from the gate. And the sisters were like, who the hell are you two? And Gigist is in shock and disbelief and calls out their names of Germain and Gaelijah. And more information came out about those two, because those two are apparently Abyss Alice Kings. And all three of them form a Trinity. And those two kings openly mock, and it's just kicking the king while he is down moment. And Germain was like, oh, look at you, you got defeated, and you know what, it's time for me to take over the throne because you're not worthy of it anymore. So yeah, Gigist is getting the boot from the throne, and is Germain's turn. And Weird Sister number 1 approaches Germain and asks, "Can you please rescue Greyon?" And we get two reveals out of this new king. One is that Master Greyon was actually a doll created from the kings. Is it mainly by him or all three of them? I'm not completely sure. I don't remember. But he was actually a doll. So he was not a human after all. And then the second reveal is that Germain was the one who ate him. So apparently he is dead. Side note, guys, I have yet to see on social media the actor who plays the master with the picture of him holding his flowers. So he is alive. So he is a part of the show. So we have 10 episodes left, and we're going to see the Master's, triumphant return somehow, some way, because Kamen Rider, you can't stay dead for long. So with these reveals, it causes the sisters to be furious, and then it causes number 3 to attack Germain, but stops her and just does something to her, and you see her screaming, and number 1 gives out the worst acting so far. She just shuts out her name without any feeling whatsoever, unless that was part of the plan, because number 1 is a doll as well who doesn't feel anything. If that's the case, then she did a good job, but if not, that was the worst acting ever. And after that, we get to see that the two kings have a target, and they're going after Fuga for some reason. So we move on from there to after the opening credits. We get to the school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher, the Alchemy School. And you see Hotaro and Rainbow Dragon and Hopper 1 singing together. And Sabi was like, okay, so our mission to collect all the Kemi cards have been completed, so what else is there? I mean, he gave an excellent question. And then Hotaro was like, okay, so the next step is to create our Kemi utopia, where humans and Kemis can coexist in peace. That's the next, this is our next mission. And speaking of which, here comes Midoro Sensei with a tablet. And the tablet contains a new message from the Alchemy Association. And just like before, we get the Alchemy Association congratulating the kids for a job well done for collecting all 101 Kemi cards, and says that, can you please turn them in to us? Yeah. Yes, guys. That was all that was the message. Congratulations, fork over the cards. And Hotaro, being the immature child that he is, gave a response of, why? We just made friends with them. Hotaro, oh my god, I know it's cringy, Hotaro, I know, guys, I know. But after 40 episodes, you could have been more mature and you could have just gave a better response. Like, a mature Hotaro would have responded with, why would I turn in my Kemi cards to a group of old men in hoods that did nothing to help us? They did nothing with the Greyon situation, and they certainly did nothing when Gigist was running amok. So why would I listen to them? That would have been a great response. And just like be like, oh, finally Hotaro has some backbone, and just call out people. Because it's true. I mean, the Alchemy Association did nothing for the past year. Nothing. And when Minero Sensei approached them for help, they didn't do anything. They just stood there and watched. Oh, your purpose right now is to capture the Kemi cards. Wow. I mean, damn, but Hotaro's response is, I mean, we just made friends with them. Why would I turn them in? But before I go any further, can you imagine if the writers decide to create this scene where all the members of the association comes into the school after the kids destroy all 3 kings and demand for the Kemi cards to be returned? Hotaro, being Mother Hotaro, will be like, I will not hand over these cards to you. These are my children. Well, I know he's going to say friends, but the way he acts towards them, he acts more like a mother than a buddy. But anyways, he will be like, no, I will not turn over my children. These are mine, and you can't hand them. You can't have them. And he just runs away with it. Yeah, he just runs away with them. I mean, that would be something I would like to watch, because again, it just proves how childish and immature Hotaro is. But is it gonna happen? I mean, there's still time, guys. We have like 10 episodes left to go. So it could happen. Will it happen? I just don't see it. We'll see. Anyways, Midoro Sensei tells Hotaro, like, before that, we still have unfinished business to take care of. I mean, it makes sense, because it would be stupid of them to turn in all the cards knowing that, don't you need the cards to transform into Kamen Riders? Yeah, so first we have to deal with the king and the sisters, and then worry about the association. So we move on from there to Kudo and Weird Sister number 1. They meet in a secret area, and apparently Kudo was being summoned by number 1. And number 1 tells Kudo everything that we know so far with Fuga, and also with what's going on with the king and the other 2 kings. So she tells everything to Kudo, and of course Kudo was like, why are you telling me this? Well, like, what's the catch? And it ends with, do you still want to save me? And it's obvious why number 1 is giving information to Kudo. It's pretty obvious, but I'll say it here. Number 1 wants revenge. And she knows that the Kamen Riders can help her achieve that revenge. And obviously, Kudo, Hotaro, and Spanner will not kill Germain out of revenge, obviously, but for number 1, it's all about payback and avenging Master Greyon. She doesn't tell it in this scene, but in the next scene. So we move on from there to Fuga's hideout, guys. So apparently it looks like Fuga has been in the Ouroboros realm for almost a year. And so we get to see Fuga, writing something on his journal. We get to see the driver and everything else. And then all of a sudden, you see Weird Sister number 3, who suddenly shows up out of nowhere and quickly deals away with Fuga. But surprisingly, it wasn't the real Fuga. It was actually another one of his clones. But here's the thing, though, because the clone proved that he is OP. So I don't understand how this clone was dealt with so quickly. Could it be because number 3 has received another power boost from one of the kings? Which it did happen, it looked like, because when she transformed, there was not much of a transformation in terms of like how is the attire and everything else, but you see her hair that used to be braided, it's not braided. That's the only change that I saw. So after this new power boost and the disposal of the clone, number 3 finds the real Fuga behind a curtain. So this is a tribute to Wizard of Oz. And you see the real Fuga, in meditation mode. And luckily, Fuga woke up and blocked number 3's attack. We get to see Kamen Rider win once again. But again, Fuga gets easily disposed of thanks to number 3. And then here comes the 3 Abyss Alice Kings. And Fuga was like, I knew there were 3. And there you go, lo and behold, there were 3. And we get another reveal. So this is reveal number 3. And according to Germain, is that these chemists copied their powers. So the source of the alchemist's magic is due to the Abyss Alice Kings. So we have Gigist, who is the creator of the 2 original chemis, and the alchemist decides to, hey, let us copy this magic and create our own set of chemis. And then now this reveal that these chemists got their magic from the Abyss Alice Kings. Wow. Everything points to these 3 demons. I mean, I have a bunch of questions, guys. Bunch of questions, but I don't have any questions as of right now. So Fuga was about to get killed by the 3 kings, but luckily Kudo and the rest of the Kamen Riders has shown up in the nick of time, and they pretty much, first of all, in shock to see Fuga is alive and well, and to see that, okay, not only we have Gigist to deal with, but we have 2 other enemies. It's a lot. It's a lot. So we get to this grand fight between the kings and number 3 and the Kamen Riders. And then what makes matters even worse is that Germain creates his own monster. And it's a golem of sorts. And the enemy easily creams the Kamen Riders. Especially when Hotaro becomes Rainbow Gacha, it was still not enough. And the alliance is forced to retreat, which they did. However, like, their victory was short-lived, because after the alchemists retreated, Germain and Gigist are fighting amongst themselves once again, because they're fighting over a throne, who gets to lead the kings. But ultimately is Germain that defeats Gigist, and he turns to Gaelijah. Hey, do you have any objections to this thing? And she was like, no, my time will come. You want to fight amongst each other? That's fine. Just leave me out of it. My time will come. And she leaves. And leaving poor number 3 just laying there, because all the other 2 kings just teleported themselves away, leaving number 3 alone. And number 3 is like, I am going to bring back number 2. And that's the end of that scene. So we go back to the alchemy school that only has 4 students and 1 lousy teacher. And we get the real father-daughter reunion. And Kudo asks, like, are you a clone, or are you real? Are you my real dad? And Fuga confirms that yes, it's really me. It's really me. And he explains why he's been in hiding for so long, which leads me to a couple of questions. Fuga reveals that after the fight he had between the sisters in episode 1, he's been in hiding for almost a year, and in order to recover from the battle and also to create his clones. So far, we only seen 2 clones. So my question is, why it took so long for Fuga to recover from his fight against the sisters? How much magic did it took to not only create these clones, but also does Fuga need to maintain the clones? Which I don't think so, but maybe. So all of these questions are popping out of my head. It's just like, I just don't understand, considering that Fuga is considered to be one of the top alchemists in all of Japan, if not the world. So why it took so long for him to heal? And when Kudo asked, like, are you okay now? Are you healed up? Are you ready to fight alongside us? And he's like, I believe I can't, because I don't think I have the strength to create another clone. So I'm like, so you haven't recovered yet? I'm like, why it took so long? I'm like, it just made me question, like, it can't, like, you can't be, like, okay, how am I going to say this? Like, why it took so long? Like, why it took almost a year? It's just, I question it. And the second clone was easily defeated. So we saw the first clone being OP. I'm like, damn, he is a great Kamen Rider. Like, he's OP. But of course, he got backstabbed in the back by Master Graham. We all know what happened there. But then number 2 clone got easily creamed. I'm like, I don't know. It's just, guys, help me. Do you think I'm overthinking it? Or I have, like, all these questions are legit? I don't know. Write in the comments below, guys. But either way, these writers suck. They suck. So we get the explanation. And we get another reveal. So this is like reveal number 4. So Fuga explains that, okay, so the kings are now after the rainbow dragon because, according to Fuga, it contains one of the pieces of the Philosopher's Stone. Yes, guys, this is Harry Potter. This is Harry Potter. And according to Fuga, the stone is the source of the king's power. So now I understand why Gigist was desperately trying to get the egg from Hotaro, even though Hotaro didn't knew it at the time. But again, it's like at the beginning of this whole egg thing, I assumed that the egg was hidden inside of Hotaro's body and not the driver. So again, I don't know what happened there, but it's just I just got confused. But Fuga explained that, okay, so these pieces are pretty much the pieces of the whole entire stone. And he says that the egg was created to restore the stone from the pieces, but it was never used. And somehow, some way, it came across Fuga. And this is where Fuga decided to hand over that to Hotaro's hands, to the next generation, mind you. So I just one question, like, why Hotaro, which I understand why Hotaro, but why didn't you just give it to your daughter? It's just a random question, but we all know why Hotaro was chosen, because of what happened when he was a child. He was the one who protected the Kemis from the Greyon attack, and Fuga decided right there and then that he is the chosen one. So right now he ain't ready yet, but once he is grown up a bit, I will give him the driver. Which, yeah. So we move on from there to that discovery, to telling Hotaro that you need to protect that dragon at all cost, because with that rainbow power, you will achieve what you wanted to achieve, to create this utopia of chemis and humans coexisting. And Hotaro's like, yeah, that's my dream. So I'm going to promise that I will protect this little guy and achieve this dream of ours. Which leads to Spanner. Spanner does not agree to that dream at all. And he had valid reasons as to why he's like, I don't think it's going to happen. Because he says that, for one thing, is mankind ready to accept these chemis to be a part of their lives? That's a legit question. Is mankind ready to handle these chemis living side by side with them? That's a legit question. The second reasoning is when he says, look, I understand that we need the chemis to transform into Kamen Riders. I get that. But once this utopia is, created, there's no need for Kamen Riders. And in his heart, he believes that these chemis are only good for fighting. And Hotaro says, well, I mean, we could make it work, and chemis can do great things, not just fighting. But he never got a chance to fully explain, because Spanner is like, look, we will come to that bridge once we come to it. Just right now, we have to deal with 3 kings, right? These 3 kings are still out there, so we need to destroy them and then come back to the subject. And he just leaves. And Fuga, before he leaves, tells his daughter that, hey, please do not act rashly. Please, I beg of you. And then Fuga, with the help of Minoru Sensei, they both leave to his room to recover. And that's all she wrote right there. But Fuga, you have nothing to worry about with your daughter. She's too smart to think rationally. She will not do it. Trust me, she won't. She's been fighting monsters for so long that I never once seen her act rationally before. Maybe Hotaro. Perhaps even Spanner, but not Kudo. So we move. Oh, speaking of Kudo, we go back to Kudo and Weird Sister number 1, and number 1 is not happy because the deal was, okay, I'll give you information of the whereabouts of your father and the Abyss Alice Kings, but in exchange, I want you to destroy this specific Abyss Alice King, and you didn't do that. And she's upset. And again, the reason why number 1 approached Kudo is because she knows that the Kamen Riders have the power to destroy an Abyss Alice King. She is using them for revenge, avenging Master Greyon, because she knows she cannot do it on her own. But Kudo was like, okay, look, we will do what you ask. We will destroy Gen Mine. But in exchange, I want you to promise that you will never hurt anybody ever again. And she took out her pinky, so they're going to do a pinky promise. And number 1's like, yeah, sure, I will promise that I will not hurt anybody ever again as long as you do your end of the bargain. And they do the pinky promise. But I have to be honest, like, this is a question. Do you think that number 1 will keep her word? To me, I don't think so, because we only have 10 episodes left, and I just imagine number 1 just breaking her promise. But I don't know. We will see. I believe she will, but the other half of me was like, I just don't see it. I don't see her keeping her promise. So they do the pinky swear, and we didn't get a cutscene of number 2 doing the cross fingers. So we don't know yet. And then we get to the most stupidest things in the entire episode, to once again showing how dumb Hotaro is. So we get to the restaurant, and Hotaro is in panic mode because his blue dragon friend is nowhere to be found, and he's frantic and asks Mama-san if she saw something, and he came really close because you can tell that he wanted to tell her the truth and ask, but he's like, I cannot. But so Mama-san came out from the character closet, and apparently she came from the grocery store from the other side of town, and she serves a plate of whole chicken, roasted chicken. And for some strange reason, Hotaro assumed that this roasted chicken was actually the blue rainbow dragon. His own mother killed and roasted blue dragon, and she's eating him right now. Hotaro, you're so stupid. The blue dragon looks more like a toy. And does Mama-san eat blue dragons? I don't think so. But for some reason, you thought that the chicken that your own mother is eating is the blue dragon, Kemi. Hotaro, I don't understand this scene. Is it to make us laugh? But I wasn't laughing. I was just more annoyed. But Hopper 1 in the backpack was telling Kotaro, like, are you stupid? That's not Blue Dragon. Sorry, it's not. God, he's so stupid. Okay, so after that stupid scene, we get to the park, and we get to see Weird Sister number 2, and she is, talking about family, wondering what family is, blah 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 blah, and then all of a sudden, well, before that, I'm surprised that the kids have not noticed this girl at the park and not say anything to her, but they leave her alone. So here comes Weird Sister number 3. You see the kids running off, and number 2 is in shock to see her. And number 3 is accusing number 2 of betrayal. You betrayed your family. How dare you turn your back on your family? And number 2, I have to be fair towards number 2. Number 2 did not betray anybody. She left the group out of fear. She left the group out of fear and concern. Because remember, during the Greyon arc and the stupid heel turn that Midoro Sensei did, they've been getting a lot of L's. And number 2 was very concerned about that. And she was afraid that if they kept losing, the sisters are done. The master will take it all on them, and that's it. It's over. And she really talked to her sisters like, hey, I have concerns. The master scares me. He's going to do something to us. I just know it. I think we should just stab him in the back before he stabs us. And number 1 obviously was furious about that. And number 3 is like, you need to shut the hell up, because what happens if he hears you? Then I can't help you. So, I have yet to see or heard that number 2 sabotage the missions, any missions, but she left on her own accord. She just I can't do it. And she had no place to go other than going to the alchemy school. And they took her in, and I have to say, she has changed a lot. She was telling number 3, her own sister, you can't force me or anybody to come back. I've changed, and you have to give up on me. But obviously number 3 is I'm not going to give up on you. And if I had to beat you up and take you by force, then I will do that. And so they both transform, which that scene ends abruptly, because after the transformation, we immediately cut to frantic Kotaro, and then Kudo comes in, and she's like, I heard the news that the dragon has disappeared. And Hoto's like, I don't know where, I just woke up and it disappeared. I don't know where it went. And then we have one of the kings, I can't pronounce. It's not Gaelijah, but it's Germain. I can't pronounce it. Anyways, so it's the same guy that beat up Gigist, and he is looking for the blue dragon as well. And he figured, you know what? I'm going to kill you too, and maybe this baby dragon will show up. And so it became a 2-on-2 match because he summoned his golem. And then it immediately went from the first fight to number 2 versus number 3. And unfortunately for number 2, she got easily defeated. And number 2 is like, again, you can't force me to come back. You can't. But of course, number 3 is berserk and tries to kill her But luckily, Spanner comes in and saves her. But of course, every time Spanner shows up, he gets another L, which he does. I don't understand what creative is doing to poor Spanner, because ever since he became a Kamen Rider, maybe even before that he's been getting a lot of L's. Like, seriously, he's been a loser. The only victory that I can remember is his fight with Dread. And that was like, lucky, because remember the Dread driver was malfunctioning, and he used that to his advantage, and that's how he received his first victory. But since then, it's been L's. Spanner, I don't know what's going on, but you've been losing so much, and there's rumors going around that supposedly he's gonna get a new form. I'm like, is it gonna change anything? That's my question. Like, my God. Anyways, Spanner gets defeated once again, and number 2 says something that the old number 2 would never say. And it ends beautifully, because it just shows how much number 2 has indeed changed. She's not the old number 2 anymore. And she ends it with, just look at yourself. You're a beast without a soul. And it ends right there. I'm like, damn. If they could have just ended it right there, I'm like, damn. But oh man, number 2 has indeed changed a lot, and I'm glad. And it won't be long until the other two sisters will join on the light side. But right now, I'm just admiring the character development in number 2, because the old number 2 would never said such a thing. So we move out from that to the final scene. Just to sum it all up, Germain and his golem easily destroys Kudo and Hotaro. And yeah, you see a bunch of explosions, and it just goes to show how powerful this Abyss Alice King is. You thought Gigist was bad. Germain and also Gaelijah are worse. And you see a bunch of explosions, and that's the end of the episode, guys. Yeah, I mean, this is leading towards the final 10 episodes. We get to know that the Philosopher's Stone is within the Blue Dragon, and the kings are coming after it because it's the source of its power. So I think this final arc is to collect all the pieces of the Philosopher's Stone. That's my guess. We get this reveal that Master Greyon wasn't human after all. He was a doll created from the Abyss Alice Kings. Fuga's reasoning for being gone for so long is because of the sisters' debut in episode 1, which again, with these questions, like, I just, okay, whatever. I'm forced to accept it, but I just believe that I'm overthinking it, but I believe I'm asking the right questions here. And of course, before that, Spanner is not into this utopia thing, because, like, he asked the right questions. Is humanity going to accept the chemis to... These chemis are only good for fighting, so he has this belief that they're just tools. So we only have 10 episodes left for him to change his mind. And then, of course, this final thing I want to add, Hotaro is stupid beyond repair. So naive, and I'm hoping that the creative have this scene where the Alchemy Association shows up demanding the cards be handed over, but Hotoro, being the child that he is not going to do it and runs away with them. I'm waiting for that to happen. We have 10 episodes left for that to happen. Other than that, I think that is it. And also, number 2 has indeed changed. And then number 1 is asking the writers for help to get revenge for Master Crayon. That sums it all up. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. And let me know. Did you like the episode? Did you like it? Did you dislike it? And if I miss anything, please write in the comments below, because even though I have my notes in front of me, I may have missed a couple of things. And please give a like if you like it, and please subscribe, because it definitely helps. And I will see you all on the other side of Oblivion. Happy Father's Day, everybody. Johnny!